far as the chaos we find ourselves in these days, it's difficult to say which side pulled the trigger first. Erusia deployed an automatic intercept system with drones. Osea implemented long-range attacks to bypass them. So Erusia decided to sabotage Osea's communications and navigation technology. Erusia couldn't launch a satellite themselves, but they were still able to hack the software of the Osean transmission and navigation systems. Before Osea even noticed, half of their satellites were hijacked. That's when things got ugly. In an attempt to knock out each other's capabilities, both forces launched fighters loaded with anti-satellite missiles at the same time. Only military satellites were targeted. However, their destruction created a debris field in orbit, which wiped out scores of other satellites, both private and government-owned. What kept the world relatively sane up to that point had been free-flowing data and information. But now, those were gone. All that remained was chaos and confusion. Government and civilian broadcasts and transmissions were cut off. The flow of information had ceased. Forces on both sides of the conflict now found themselves unable to communicate with their superiors. Many of the smaller countries annexed by Erusia and yearning for their independence seized the opportunity and started their own uprisings. As for why some of Osea's military decided to break off from the main force and continue on their own, I have no idea. Perhaps there was some sort of dispute over the chain of command. The continent that had once seen wars that were only fought between Osea and Erusia was now full of numerous conflicts between rival leaders vying for power. Insurgencies were everywhere. I even heard a rumor that a group of Osean convicts had rebelled. Rumors. It never ceased to amaze me that even at a crazy time like this, something as trivial as a rumor could find its way here. Communications from corporate were cut off. Apparently, the entire computer network was down. It was a wise decision to make our drones autonomous with AI instead of being radio-controlled. Wise and forward-thinking. Even with their GPS offline, they can still use their sensors to navigate as long as they're working properly. I'm sure the drones are still working perfectly, following their mission orders to the letter. I wish I could upload Mihai's new data to them. But without a connection, I can't upload the software to the active drones. The new ones we're making, though, there should still be enough time to upgrade those before they're activated. I'll be taking the data I've acquired away from the front lines now. Oh, and I'll be taking the girls, too. I told my assistant, Masa, it was time to get Mihai's granddaughters ready to leave here. She's not much older than the girls, but she has a way about her, and I'm sure she won't have any trouble with them. I saw a plane flying off in the distance. I imagine it was looking for a safer place. The plane had a rose emblem on it.
Erusia's communication networks have been down since their satellites were destroyed. Unfortunately, we are experiencing trouble too. All of Usia has been affected, and we don't know when things will be back up and running. We're not even sure if this is Erusia's doing. Still, we will follow the strategy that was originally planned, and move on to the next operation after liberating Farbanti. Let's get to it. Since the war began, we've been receiving communications in secret from an officer in the Erusian army.
With the capital under our control, Erusia's radical element is losing support quickly, affecting the balance of power.
HQ is thinking of using the military officer as a way to gain leverage to settle peace negotiations. The officer is currently hiding in the outskirts of Anchorhead Bay, having joined up with support dispatch from the Osean army. The plan is that they'll take a standard vehicle to a rendezvous point at a harbor in the east part of the city, where a helicopter will be waiting.
I would like the new Strider Squadron to provide escort for the officer. Cyclops will remain at the base on standby to serve as defense.
With the communication network currently down in the capital, I very much doubt Roxio will be able to mount a regimented counterattack. However, it is likely that Roxio's intelligence department and the remaining forces who are aware of the officer's movements will interfere. Keep a close eye on the officer and make sure he stays safe. Our victory in Farbanti has given us a golden opportunity to finally end this war. Be safe out there.
Take note that our satellite-based IFF has become unreliable following the recent communications failure. As such, target ID will be done by processing the images from the infrared cameras on your aircraft. Objects will initially appear as unknown on your HUDs, but will be ID'd once you close in on them for a set period of time.
Strider Squadron, you're cleared to taxi.
To the unidentified Osean craft, this is Captain Carl of the Osean Army. Are you here for the escort? You're not the squadron I was expecting. Are you really friendlies? Over.
This is Longcaster. Airborne warning and control system for the Osean Long Range Strategic Strike Group. Captain Carl, they're on our side.
And those two pilots we've heard about must be here too.
Okay, I hope you're right. Longcaster, are all of these really unknowns?
It's a state of civil war. The Erusian army is fighting itself. There's no guarantee the Oseans won't shoot us in this confusion.
We'll image process the unknowns caught in your cams to identify friend or foe. The process will be faster if you get a close-up, well-centered image.
Meanwhile, we just run if they shoot us, right?
Affirmative. Always identify your target before you fire.
War is something I'll never get used to, but tonight has been a total shock. The city under martial law, gunfire and the roar of jets echoing through the streets.
Give me Strider Squadron's IDs. Oh, and hand me that sandwich.
You guys have opened the trial door, leading our country further into ruin.
Entering the Anchorhead Bay area. Buildings will block your line of sight. Make sure to keep track of your objective.
How this war ends depends on this mission. I'm counting on you. Understood.
Strider Squadron, identify the unknowns along the route.
It is not machines that make the decisions work. It's people. Understand that.
Strider 1 has crashed.
Longcaster, are all of these really unknowns?
It's a state of civil war. The Erusian army is fighting itself. There's no guarantee the Oseans won't shoot us in this confusion.
We'll image process the unknowns caught in your cams to identify friend or foe. process will be faster if you get a close-up, well-centered image.
Meanwhile, we just run if they shoot us, right?
Affirmative. Always identify your target before you fire.
It's something I'll never get used to. But tonight has been a total shock. The city under martial law. Gunfire and the roar of jets echoing through the streets.
Caution.
Give me Strider Squadron's IDs. Oh, and hand me that sandwich.
Caution.
Strider 1, target destroyed.
Missile.
Which faction is the head of our organization? We need to know what one.
Locked on.
Entering the Anchorhead Bay area. Buildings will block your line of sight. Make sure to keep track of your objective.
How this war ends depends on this mission. I'm counting on you. Understood.
Strider Squadron, identify the unknowns along the route. ID is Ocean Forces. This is AWACS from the LRSSG.
Our intel has been updated.
AA gun confirmed destroyed.
Punch 2.
Strider 1, target destroyed. Strider 1, APC destroyed. It's illusion.
They aren't responding aggressively.
General, if they're conservative, they'll listen to us. The negotiations were a success, Lancaster. They've opened up a path for us. The more the merrier. We're the only ones here on our side! We can't see the tops of the roofs from down here. Be on the lookout for enemy ambushes. We made it through the Anchorhead Bay area. We're heading along Highway 208 under the bridge. We're taking the coastal highway at the next ramp.
All right.
The use of drones makes war more palatable. Why don't people realize this? Fighting with the drones is what got us into this mess. Traeger, enemy has a lock on you!
Its ID is illusion.
We're taking fire from our own allies. Is this place like a rebellion too?
Wait, General managed to convince them.
Listen, those that protect General LaBarge are the real patriots. Onward!
There's a vehicle up ahead. It's gonna ask us to pay a toll. Get closer and find out if it's an enemy vehicle.
We'll go. Let's go.
We archived all the footage that we've shot for when the communication networks come back online. We need to remind everyone that there's no such thing as a clean war. I'm taking fire! Still flight capable!
Fox 2.
It's no good. There's still a car on the road. Just to be safe, we better avoid the highway and head for the warehouse district. Lancaster, we're taking a detour. Don't lose us.
Strider 1, the General's route has changed. Keep your eyes on his vehicle. Don't let him out of your sight.
Here comes a traitor, LaBarge. This is a wide net